welcome to the studio County Manager George Wood. And County Manager, sir, great to have you with us.
Nice to be here, Wayne.
Good to have you here. And boy, what an interesting week we have had this week with the county manager, not with the county managers meeting, but with the county commissioners meeting. A lot of ground was covered there. A lot of things happening in Wayne County right now.
There are.
All right. Well, let's start with, for one thing, we'll start with the 911 center. What's going on with the 911 center?
Well, at Tuesday's meeting, we voted to receive the report. We've had an architect looking at 5 possible options, Wayne, and he brought the report back in. He was there to answer any questions the board may have. We had it listed on the agenda really just for a discussion, but the board went ahead and decided to vote on it. They did vote 6-0 to select the option which he recommended, which was a vacant lot, and it is nearby our communications tower, so all of the sites were, and that's a critical thing because that limits our cost in trying to connect to that tower. So we're very pleased with that. We had already entered into a contract with him that would cover the design, whether it was going to be the renovation of an existing building or a new one. So we were able to tell him, obviously at the meeting, we agree with him, we've selected option 4, now go ahead and get started on the design. So in about, I would say 90 to 120 days, we should have that back. Then he'll have to go through the permitting process, and at that point then we'd be ready to bid that out. Just want to give the folks a little bit of background on why we're having to do this. We currently have a 911 center, and the problem is it's limited in space. We're only able to seat 6 telecommunicators, and we're pretty much maxed out at that. We had a study done last year that indicated that the call volume has been rising consistently year over year, and so that means at some point you've got to add additional personnel to cover that increased volume. And the problem, Wayne, is we're past the point where we should be adding people, but we have no place to put them. So that's issue number 1. Issue number 2 is that the state of North Carolina now wants every county to have a backup PSAP. Now the PSAP, for people who don't know, that's just a public safety answering point. That's just a fancy name for a 911 center. So you've either got to have a second center, or you've got to have made contractual arrangements with a neighboring county to where if your center goes down, you can patch into theirs, move some equipment in there, bring your operators in, and function that way temporarily for about it's usually for a 48 to 72 hour period. Because
that sounds like a lot, though.
Well, it is a lot, and so
sound good.
What we've looked at is, like we said, you know, if we had had the room in our facility, we might have looked at getting into a backup arrangement with somebody else. But we're at a point where we could not add to it, we could not expand into the building. And so what we looked at, because we evaluated all of that first and had brought the architects in on that. So once we determined that we needed new space, then we made these evaluations on the 5 options. So that's what's driving it. And so now what we've made the determination is we will go forward with a new center. Instead of being limited to 6, it'll have significantly more seats than that. It will also have room that, while we won't go ahead and put the expensive equipment in for dispatching, the space will be there. And the elevated flooring that you have to have for all of the electronic wiring underneath, everything will be there, and then we can expand as we need it over the years.
Well, let me ask you then, is there the possibility that this space then could become the center for surrounding counties if they need to move in? Would we be interested in doing that?
Well, it's an excellent point. We actually contacted our counterparts in Greene County and tried to do exactly that, because that would have been a cost savings to them, and it wouldn't have taken much from us. It would have probably added 1 console, and we could cover their whole county.
Great.
So we looked at it. There were some issues from their side that they weren't comfortable doing that, and so we backed off. But to answer your question, yes, if they were to come back and approach us about that, there would be sufficient room in here. We could accommodate that.
Excellent.
So with that, we're going to build a new center, and then what will happen is the existing center will be our backup PSAP because while it will be a little cramped and crowded, it's only for a 48 to 72 hour period because these are high priority facilities for Duke Power and everyone else. Plus it'll have an emergency generator. So you've got your regular connections, you've got a backup generator in case that goes down, and then if everything should go down, then you've got a backup PSAP. So we think with all of those backups, everything should be fine going forward. We'll meet the state requirement on that. We'll have room to expand as we need it with our people. Okay. So we're moving forward with it. We think we'll be able to get some state grant money for the equipment, but not for the structure itself. We're going to use county money on that. So with that, we're moving forward with it.
So that's pretty close. 90 to 120 days, you said, to get the architect design in,
right.
And this is on property that's close to our tower.
That's right, and we are, and the other good thing is the county already owns the land.
And that's a beautiful thing. And running communication cable and lines can be quite costly. That's very expensive.
It can be, and the good news is that that area is not too far from the new jail.
That's good. That's right.
And with the new jail, we are bringing in fiber to the new jail.
Great.
And that project is underway now because the new jail will be finished in October. So then the second leg of that project will be to take it from the jail, run it down Stronach Avenue, and I think it's Klingman, and then bring it into the site there. And then the third leg of that will be going out to the MRAC, to the Maxwell Regional Agricultural and Convention Center.
Taking the fiber out there?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Now, how did this happen to all fall in place like this? Is like a puzzle. It just fell in place.
It's like a puzzle, and you know we've been working on.
Are you responsible for that?
Well, a lot of people are responsible for it. But as we've planned these facilities, we've brought the right people to the table to discuss all the elements of what did we need on everything. You know, fortunately, the jail is in the city. There's already water and sewer lines there. But we knew we were going to have to beef up the internet going in there. Obviously with the 911 center, we knew we were going to have to beef that up. So, and then obviously with the convention center, we needed to beef it up there because if you think about it, if you're inviting literally hundreds of people to some event there, and they all bring an iPhone and iPads and everything else, you've got to be able to accommodate that.
That you have. Now, the convention center that's being built will hold several hundred people. Yeah,
it'll be 840 for a sit-down dinner, and it'll be 1,550 for like a graduation or something like that.
And so every one of those people will have a cell phone.
Probably. So, our people have got to be prepared for that. So we had to sit down, look at the utilization of it, and say, what do we need to plan for? And then where do we have it? What's the nearest point? How do we get it there? And so we've brought our IT people in on that. They're doing a very good job on it. And again, I gave you the sequencing of how we're going to do it. So, but speaking of the jail is on schedule. It's scheduled to open late October. Daniels & Daniels has done an outstanding job on that project over there. Our people are very pleased with the work they've done. And the architects have been over the inspections on it, and they've done an excellent job for us. I think we're going to have a first-class product over there. And the public now can see visually what it's going to look like because it's all bricked in now. You can see the whole building. It's a beautiful building. It really is when you consider it's a jail.
It's a jail. Well, but it'll have a gift shop.
Right.
Put something in there.
Yeah, but we will, of course, detracting from that will be the perimeter fence with the barbed wire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the barbed wire.
But still, we will be doing some landscaping features there. The city requires that on all projects, and we do need to beautify it. It doesn't need to be a sea of asphalt out there with barbed wire.
No.
But we're very pleased with the product that we're getting, and it is, of course, it's going to alleviate the overcrowding situation we have in our current jail, which is costing the county a considerable amount of money. So, I've talked to Sheriff Pierce on any number of occasions. He's extremely pleased with the design, the work that's going on. So is Major Greenfield, who, as you know, is the chief jailer and will be in charge of operating it. And we've had them involved every step of the way in the design of it. So we're all very pleased with the design of the building, and now the actual building going up. We're getting a good product. We're just anxious for October to get here, and we'll be through with it.
Now, you mentioned the input by those who are most closely involved
Yes.
with the jail itself,
Yes.
but you got some people together that have built jails before that knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Mosley
wasn't just created.
No, that's right. Mosley Architects probably is one of the two best architectural firms for jails in the state of North Carolina. They've probably done in excess of 30 out of the 100.
Wow.
So they bring a lot of years of experience, and of course they've built them in other states as well. So they're highly experienced. They know all of the federal and state regulations you have to meet in terms of cell size, what, how much space has to be for this and that, and because it's a fairly highly regulated situation. A lot of that enforced by the federal courts. So we have to do it right, and so you've got to bring somebody to the table who knows all of that. And they gave us great advice on it. Originally, Wayne, we were looking at the possibility of having to do a large jail like we already have, but there was a new regulation in North Carolina that allowed smaller counties to now use this dormitory style jail. And so we've dropped the cost on this from the original estimates I'd seen from someone doing it 4 or 5 years ago was a little over 30 million.
30 million.
We're going to bring this project in at 11 million.
Whoa.
So that's
almost
a 20
third.
million, that's a $20 million savings. The other thing is this type of jail, because it's dormitory style, we can operate it with a lot less jailers overseeing it. So it's cheaper on the capital side, it's cheaper on the operating side. So we're extremely pleased with the advice we got from Mosley on that.
Man, that is great. And so we're looking at the middle or end of October?
That's correct. Yeah, I would say the end of October, because most construction jobs, it always takes a little longer than you think. There's always that final wrap up.
That's right.
But the major building is there. Like we said earlier, what we've got to do now, we've already got it underway, is getting the fiber over there, and we get that squared away. So I think we'll be ready to go in October.
Man, that's great. That's only 3 months away.
Yeah.
I want to go back to, you mentioned the Maxwell Regional Agricultural and Convention Center and Farmers Market.
That's right. That's right.
I'm excited about that. Since you've been in, since the last time you were in, we lost Louis Maxwell.
Right.
And
that was a big loss to this community.
Indeed it was. He has done so much for Wayne County.
That's right.
But still, this will carry the family name, the Maxwell Regional Agricultural and Convention Center and Farmers Market. And man, we were out there just a day or so ago, and they are moving quickly on this. They're doing the groundwork now for the water runoff and that sort of thing.
Yeah, as you know, we did the groundbreaking last week.
Right.
And although it was extremely hot weather, I think we had in excess of 350 people show up for that.
There wasn't a free seat available, and the people were standing under the tent 3 deep, around all the way around. That was a beautiful sight.
It was. There's a tremendous excitement about that community.
Yeah.
More than I've ever seen in any community I've been in for a facility like that. But there are a lot of different segments of our community who have a stake in that building, and you saw that out there. But yeah, we're extremely pleased with how the groundbreaking went. As you said, we have awarded the site work contract already. That was a little over $3 million. TA Loving immediately started. They are out there on the site now, and as you said, their ground is being moved right now.
Very quickly.
So we're very pleased with TA Loving and the job they're doing. It's been a good working relationship. They continue to work with the architect, trying to save us some money here and there as the review of the plans goes. But where we're at now, the plans have pretty much been finalized. They're going through the approvals by the various regulatory bodies that have to look at it. Anytime you have a large assembly area like that, you have to have some special review by some state agencies and things. So they're in that process. The other major process they're in is developing all of the bidding packages for each one of the components of the facility. the site work was just the first of probably 30 to 40 subcontracts that TA Loving will be bidding out. We're doing them so the public knows we're doing these as sealed bid contracts. So developers, I mean, whoever wants to bid on it has to submit a sealed bid. We have a bid opening conducted by TA Loving. Our purchasing agent is there as well. We're able to review them, and of course then once they tabulate it, they make a recommendation, and then the Board of Commissioners will vote on it. And what we're voting on is to accept those bids and also to authorize TA Loving with that amount of contract. So sometime in August, maybe September, we should be getting the rest of those in. And at that point, then we'll know the full price of the building and go ahead and award that. But the site work has allowed us to move ahead and cut about 2 months off of the project time.
Man.
And that was a recommendation from TA Loving. I thought it was a very good move on their part, and we jumped on it.
I want to ask you again, if you would, let us know how this is being funded, because I still find this an amazing way that this was put together. And am I right? You're telling me that there's no tax increase involved with this?
That's correct.
No property tax increase?
No property tax increase at all. The way we're doing it, both the 911 Center will be in there and the Maxwell Regional Agricultural Convention Center. We've factored in both of those. The way we're able to do that, Wayne, is we have in 2020, we will have about $1.7 million of debt that comes off our books, because we've had some debt that was only for a 5-year duration. So when that comes off, that frees up about $1.7 million that we currently budget every year for debt.
Okay.
The following year, it frees up another $550,000. So in a 2-year period, we're going to free up about $2.2 million that we can use for other things. And so we've worked with our financial consultants and a few spreadsheets and things, and it more than covers what we'll need to pay on both those projects.
Wow.
And so that's how we're going to do it. Now, we do have to bridge that debt for fiscal year 18 and 19, but we've got a plan to do that. And so basically that's how we're doing it. And because of that, it won't require any kind of increase.
That is that's amazing. And it's wonderful. Plus the help from several of the local concerns, including the Maxwell family.
Yes.
Naming rights.
We've raised, I think, a little over $1.5 million through the generosity of these various people. Of course, the Maxwells were the biggest contributor at $750,000.
Right.
But we've had other sizable contributions. I think Mount Olive Pickle has given $100,000.
Right.
And so, and then we've had others. I don't want to try to name them all because I'll leave somebody else. That's right.
And then there's the Wayne County Livestock Development Association.
Yeah, they just presented us with theirs the other day. So we've got about 14 or 15 people or organizations that have done that. And
is that right?
So that's
we don't want to name all of them.
No, because I'll leave somebody out.
I know.
But it's a great contribution to the community by these business interests, and we really appreciate what they're doing. And that has helped, because this is about a $19 million project, so to get $1.5 million from the private sector is great.
That is great.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we covered a lot of ground, and this past week a lot of ground was covered and uncovered as well with the groundbreaking.
That's right.
What do you think?
It was.
That works.
It was a little warm to be handling a shovel.
Man,
though.
it was hot out there. But that's okay. It was,
That's right.
It was a grand event, and it went off very well.
It was.
George Wood is the manager of the County of Wayne here in Wayne County, North Carolina, USA, and I appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much for being with us.
Appreciate it.